And good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending our second public hearing for the 5-year update of the comprehensive plan. And just briefly, I'd like to just go over some broad points. This 5-year update of the comprehensive plan is something that is required by required for local governments under the Georgia Planning Act of 1989. And part of this, part of the 10-year plan that we normally do is a 10-year plan. It was last done in 2016. Is an implementation strategy that they call the Community Work Program, and it sets out the specific actions the local government intends to take during the next 5 years. And the CWP, or the Community Work Program, assigns time, gives time frames, cost estimates, and responsible parties to identified tasks. And this Community Work Program must be updated every 5 years. So as we stop in the midpoint of the 10-year planning horizon, we review the Community Work Program that was done in 2016 and make a report of accomplishments where we go item by item. There were 95 items, and we go down through those to determine whether those items were completed, if they're ongoing and need to be continued into the next 5-year period, which we're about to enter, or perhaps they might have been deleted because they no longer are desired. And nearly all of our items were continued or had been completed. This second public hearing by regulations of the Department of Community Affairs is conducted once this draft plan has been made available to the public for public review, but prior to the plan's transmittal to the Regional Commission for a regional review. The purpose of this second hearing is to brief the community on the contents of the plan, provide an opportunity for residents to make final suggestions, additions, or revisions, notify the notify the community of when the plan will be submitted to the Regional Commission for review, and once public comments have been addressed, the plan is transmitted to the Regional Commission to begin a 40-day plan review process. This draft plan has been distributed since August 11th to the City and County Commissioners for review and comment, and was available on the City and County websites under the Commission agenda packets. And it was included in the agenda packets for the August 16th county meeting, the 17th city meeting, the city meeting tomorrow on the 24th, and on the county meeting for the 30th. It was discussed at the county regular session August 16th and the city work session August 17th. And this the notice for this public hearing we're having tonight was published in the newspaper August 6th and 8th, and on Channel 16, and posted at the Government Center and other locations traditionally used for public notices. As far as transmittal of the plan update for review to the Regional Commission and Camilla, it will be submitted following, as we said, following the formal approval by the City Commission, which is scheduled for tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. at their regular meeting, and following the formal approval by the County Commission, scheduled for August 30th special called meeting at 10 a.m. and after any public comments that we receive have been addressed. As far as contents, a short review of the contents of this 5-year update. As I said before, the 2016 Community Work Program was reviewed, and a report of accomplishments was developed to indicate tasks completed, underway, postponed, or canceled from the previous 5-year community work program. An updated community work program for 2021 through 2025 was developed, including both the new work items and items that were currently underway or postponed from the 2016 to 2020 CWP. We've also added a broadband element as required under new rules for comprehensive plans that was made effective October 1, 2018, supporting Georgia's Broadband Ready Community Program. A review of the community's needs and opportunities and land use plans for additions or updates was also reviewed. And a few of them were, since they were met, they were deleted, and a few were added. Of special note is the regional water plan that's covering our area, and the rules for environmental planning criteria were reviewed and taken into consideration in this plan update. Specifically regarding flood mitigation and water quality issues before the City of Albany, the city has developed a 5-year plan to separate the combined sewer outfall, stormwater drainage in order to meet requirements of the city's non-point permit, obviously the NPDES permits. Since 2017, storm recovery activities have postponed many activities that were previously planned in 2016. Likewise, the coronavirus pandemic has delayed or postponed many projects due to time and fiscal restraints, as well as construction and supply line delays. For this reason, many of our projects were continued to the next 5-year period, and many others were continued because they were 6 or 7 year multi-year projects, and they were not completed within the first 5 years. Since 2017, storm recovery activities have postponed many projects. Likewise, the coronavirus pandemic has delayed or postponed these projects. And the specific, I did want to mention that specific plans for recovery in this area, topical area, include the 2017 Dougherty County, City of Albany Long-Term Recovery Plan and the Dougherty County Hazard Mitigation Plan Update 2020 to 2025. This Dougherty County Hazard Mitigation Plan Update will be considered for adoption by the city tomorrow night and next week by the county. Both governments continue to carry out disaster recovery projects, including the county's specific disaster recovery plans for Radium Springs and the Putney area. I do want to mention that there are comment forms that are available on the table at the back of the room. Should you like to issue something in writing and send it after you've had some time to reflect. And we do ask that you sign the attendance sheet to help us document that your participation here tonight. And my contact information, Carolyn Seegers, as Senior Planner, is on the screen as well, and my business cards are at the back table as well. Do we have any questions? Could you come to the table, Mr. Wright? I mean, to the microphone.
Well, yes, I've looked over the sheet, and I guess, do you want the citizens to submit their comments to you or to who?
Either way, you can do it to me tonight, or if you'd like to, you can respond by email. My information is on the the paper form in the back. Either way, we would like to have comments received within the next week to 10 days, by the 30th.
Okay, yeah, I looked over the list, and some of the things are way off. And by that, what I'm saying, for example, I looked at economic development, and perhaps we do not understand what economic development is. But you know you got to have 3 factors and a catalyst. And to suggest that we're going to get economic development out of the airport is a joke. Because the people at the airport, half of them do not have a clue about what they're supposed to be doing. And certainly it's not going to be an engine to create economic development. I mean, having UPS, FedEx bring freight in here is not going to create a lot of jobs. What we got to have is industry. Industry is the only thing that's going to have a ripple effect. I mean, you can bring a supermarket and other things. So I'll get that information to you so we can get it right, because the things that you have on there are way off. They're not going to work. After all, if you look at the census data that even in here, I mean, the county and the city lost 12,000 people. So obviously most of these things you have on here did not work.
Well, that's true.
And the thing is, they're not going to work. So you got to have, in order to make economic development, when you're not a destination, we are not a destination. We don't have anything to draw people here. And that's relative, I understand, but if that was not the case, why would 12,000 people leave? I mean, if we were a destination and we look at where they went, one of the things we're going to have to do, and I'm just telling you people that are here, we're going to have to get with the Georgia Tollway Authority and put 8 or 10 toll roads to come in here to sort of get some funds out, everyone that feed off the other 13 counties that feed off Dougherty County, because see, all those people did not go to Leesburg. Half of them went to the other 13 counties that's surrounding us. So trails, like you got trails here, people don't, you get to recreation and leisure after you get a good job. If you don't have a good job, you're not going running out to Chiho and all this other nonsense. So, you know, I just want us to get it right, and I'll get my comments to you and some justification for them.
I look forward to receiving those. Thank you.
Carolyn, if you don't mind.
Could you state your name, please?
Yeah, Bruce Capps. I live in Albany.
Okay, and I apologize. That was William Wright that was just with us earlier.
I'm having a hard time reconciling all the spreadsheets that you've got. On the website, there are 2 sets of spreadsheets covering 2 different periods.
Yes.
And yet the spreadsheets that you've just handed out both differ from those as well as are additional. Is that correct?
I would have to see. That's
what I'm
no,
trying to
no. What I believe is on the website is drafts that were dated August 9th, and the ones that I distributed tonight are the ones that were distributed to the city and county commissions from their agenda packets.
Well,
and they are unchanged. So perhaps there was an earlier one. Now there were some that were distributed in June, and what we have tonight are different than the ones that were from June.
The announcement that I have here today's meeting refers specifically to the website. It does not refer to any kind of package. Okay.
I
My point is that
apologize.
the information wasn't on it.
I apologize
Okay.
if there was confusion.
Well, there's no confusion, it just, the reports weren't there. And what I'm trying to find out is, how do the various spreadsheets, of which there are about 4 different ones now, how do they relate to each other?
Okay. The ones that I can only presume without looking at them are dated from June. Is there a date on them?
No. You
So
just gave out 2 spreadsheets today dated August 9th? Okay.
those are
I've not seen anything with the date on them from June. Where would I find that?
well, that's why I was trying to understand your first statement that there were 4 sets that didn't match. And I was trying, and there's only a set that is a report of accomplishments, which is a review of 95 work items that were first listed in the comprehensive plan in 2016, and they were for activities from 2016 to 2020. And
Those are the ones that are on the website.
That's right, and they're
Okay. Nothing else was on the website.
okay. And I'm just trying to explain. Then the other set, there's probably, if you looked within the comprehensive plan, it is frozen in time to 2016. So it would have reflected on the report of accomplishments for activities that were written in 2012, and they were updated report of accomplishments for 2016. And then there would have been the community work program in the 2016 document would have reflected 2016 forward to 2020. And what we have here tonight is a review of the community work program in the 2016 document that was from the time of that document in 16 through 2020. And that would now become a report of accomplishments noting the progress and up to this point, and then a brand new community work program that would reflect work yet to be done from 2021 to 2025 or 26, depending on whether you're interpreting it as fiscal year or not.
You're presuming a great deal from the people who the instructions suggest that they refer to.
I
mean,
apologize. I wish you had called me and we could have gotten the information to you.
Second, these spreadsheets that you've developed, where does this come from?
It comes from, what are you, the format or the information?
The information.
The information on which one? On both of them.
The 2 that were distributed today.
The information was gathered through discussions with some of the department heads. It was also through research back through to the beginning of 2016 from the Georgia procurement website for procurement requests, RFPs, and other purchasing documents, a review of minutes and agenda items and agenda memos and attachments for the city and county back through to 2016.
The report that's on the website makes reference to a steering committee. Is there a current steering committee?
The steering committee was drawn together, which the steering committee primarily is drawn together at the beginning of a full plan update that was done in 2016, and it was organized by the staff of the regional commission.
Okay, can I make a couple of observations about that? There's a good number of people on that steering committee that are no longer involved in,
That's because this is just a midpoint update.
so there is no steering committee.
The steering committee would be an informal steering committee because this is just an update of what was set as work items 5 years ago.
Okay, and that's, I guess, where I'm going. Sorry. What's the relationship between that document and these documents here? Have they been updated?
The ones that you have tonight have been updated.
From the 2016?
Yes,
Okay, and the update was completely done by staff,
pretty much, yes.
so there's no public input?
And that's not true. We discussed it in the,
Well,
it has been discussed at city commission meetings, county commission meetings. It was included, it was brought to the attention of the public in June
At
24th.
a public meeting?
At a public meeting. And a matter of fact, it's still on Facebook, and it had 271 views, and it's also on YouTube. And comments it was open to have comments made, and no comments were made on those two videos that are still there because I retrieved them last night.
You have now mentioned 3 platforms, 4 if I can include impersonal.
That's right.
Can you draw them together somewhere? I mean, and also, to be candid with you, the steering committee that you, forget it. Once again, the current lists that you've produced, okay, they came primarily from staff, is that correct? Because there's a lot of misinformation, or at least questionable information. For example, the Civil Rights Institute, which you have a budget in here of $400,000.
There was a request.
Closed.
There was a request in 2016 for money that they recognized that they needed, and they put in a request to be included on the SPLOST ballot in 2016. At the time this plan was being made in 2016, by the time, and the SPLOST ballot was drawn together by the City and County Commission before this plan was fully brought through and adopted. So that was an item that was marked as a project of interest. It was then, if we look and see what number, that's in the report of accomplishments. And it would have been, was that one on 58? There we go. So 58, under the plan element, community facilities and services, and it was indicated that it was to be carried forward into the community work program. And that, if you can see that we marked it as being postponed for a lack of funds because it was not included in the SPLOST budget. So,
Well, hold on now, but
and
it's
that
still-
was that would have been on page 5. Page 5 of 8 on the 8-page document at the top that is called Draft Report of Accomplishments. And if you go forward to the draft community work program, which is for fiscal year 2021 to fiscal year 2025,
gets on it again.
It is on page 5 of 6, and it says there that it was, so that it's carried forward because that need still exists and the need was unmet.
And I guess my question is the need still there?
Yes, very much so.
How so?
Pardon me, how soon or how so?
How so?
How so? Is our understanding that it is in need of roof repair, repainting, and a number of other efforts, and it's under further fiscal strain because it's been closed. Well, the entire community's under fiscal strain, but since the storms, but more so in the last 18 months or so because of the pandemic.
So, but it's been closed for some period of time.
That's my understanding, but I haven't had a direct conversation. We've reached out to have communications with them regarding their needs, and we're still gathering that information.
Okay, so clarify for me, if you don't mind, what's the next step in this process? As a resident, what do I need to do?
You certainly have the opportunity, if there are some items or work tasks that you would like to see included, you can certainly suggest them, recommend them, and we can pass them on to the city commission or county commission, whichever one is appropriate. And
But isn't there an item on tomorrow's agenda
Yes.
that calls for a vote?
that's true. And that is a vote to transmit this plan for a 40-day review as to form and communicate the contents of this plan to our neighboring jurisdictions. It will come back at the end of that 40-day review period. It will come back to the city and county, and there is an opportunity, should they choose, to make additions of work items to this new plan.
A moment ago, you suggested to Mr. Wright that he submit or we submit changes or recommendations within the next 7 days.
Well, because it's not going to be transmitted to,
That's okay. That's okay. Don't worry
it's
about it.
because well, your question is in a different character than his, and there are
No, my question
forms
is
at the
exactly
back.
same.
There are
If
forms
we're-
at the back.
This is a public hearing for input.
Sure.
We're providing input, but if the input comes after the vote and after the transmittal, what's the point? For example, I noticed in this thing that whoever drafted this has completely ignored climate change. Wouldn't that be something that should be very prominent in this list of priorities? Yet there's no discussion whatsoever of it. Yet it impacts virtually everything on this list in some way, shape, or form.
This list reflects goals and objectives that were included in the major plan update written in 2016.
So you're suggesting that the 2016 report is chiseled in stone, that it can't be changed to reflect current conditions?
No, I did not say that. I said that this plan has been looked at in that fashion. We will be more than happy to note for the record your interest in having climate change issues brought to the attention of the commission and incorporated into the reporting. But we've been dealing with items that have already been previously identified, and as I said, be more than happy to make note and include in the appendix of this report that is transmitted after the 30th of August, because it needs to be voted by both the city and the county, and public comment sheets and any public comment that are received via email or that we can transcribe from tonight, from your words right now, can be included, will be included in the appendix of public comments that we received.
Well, for example, I notice on here there is some discussion about extending the gas service, natural gas service, which is clearly opposed to climate change.
The
Similarly,
gas, well, I can only speak to what the utility department has chosen to identify as their needs.
But this is a public input session.
I understand.
I'm not interested, I'm not interested in the utility board's agenda. I'm interested in my agenda as part of the public. And what
Be
you
more than
seem
happy
be
to make
saying
note of that.
is that I don't have input. For example, I notice here that probably the most significant nodule in the transportation system of the city is Gillianville, Pine, and Slappy. Yet there's no discussion in here at all about that intersection. There are nodes all over the place, and I admit some of them are quite good, even though in the 2016 report it was discussed. So what happened to it?
I believe we said that it was postponed because we did not have sufficient staff time to address those plans. There is a narrative of, that's, I think, 5 pages long. There's a narrative that gives a little bit more of an overview of those documents, and
I'm sorry. You're asking a great deal of the public, and I apologize. Look how many people are here. 2, 3. You've made the, with all due respect, you've made the process very, very complex. And frankly, I'm quite discouraged. It's not an indictment of you or anyone else. It's just an observation. The website doesn't carry the information, even though the announcement refers directly to the website. There's no way of conveying our input, public input. There's an agenda that has been set up by staff. Even the agenda that was set up in 2016 was, quote unquote, set up by stakeholders, none of whom were actually from the public. It's very discouraging. Thank you very much.
do we have any other comments? Thank you very much.